Assalamualaikum everyone. I'd like to share with you this presentation regarding the Mindanao history or mainstreaming Mindanao history. This is just a sort of review. If you are familiar with our history, balik-aral na lang natin ito so that we'll be reminded once again of our own history here in our place. Nowadays, we still see people like this in the present situation, especially in the rural areas. I don't know if you'll agree with me. Punta ka sa rural areas, may mga evacuees pa rin from the man-made as well as from the natural calamity. Until today. Okay, so ito yung sitwasyon, especially here in our place in Mindanao. So we all know that Mindanao, meron siyang 101,998 kilometers. Then it is known as the 9th largest island in the world and the second largest island in the country. There are 18 million people. That was before, but now sobra na yan. Then it is composed of 25 provinces, 23 cities, and 400 municipalities. And surely nadagdagan na din yan. Then with 6 administrative regions, especially BARM now. But before it was ARM, then the Caraga then the Caraga and the regions 1 up to 11. Then with the annual national production, we have the rice, corn, and the cattle, which is 60%, 50% on corn, and 25% on rice. Then we have a 100% pineapple, rubber, asparagus, the banana export. I think all of us know that one. Kahit na binansagan tayong sub-Saharan Mindanao, we are compared to African sub-Saharan. Pero hindi totoo yan because of this. Then how did we get there? So we all know that Mindanao is composed of the tribe people, and we know that one. The indigenous people, or known as the Lumads, the Islamites or the Moros, and of course the Christianized, the settlers, the Christians. That's the tribe people in Mindanao. So if you notice in Mindanao, there are, I think, 18 Lumads, 18 indigenous people. Romanen, Atamanobo, the Bagubo, the Banwaon, Blan, the Babawon, Higawnon, Mamanwa, Mandaya, Mangguwangan, Manobo, Mansaka, Matigsulog, Subanan, Tagakaulot, Talaandig, Tibuli, Tiduray, as well as Obo. The blue, written in blue, if you'll count that one, that's 18. And they'll be, makikita sila in Davao, South Cotabato, Bukidnon, Agusan, Butuan. At here in our vicinity, we have the Tiduray, the Tibuli, as well as the Manobo. So yun, marami-rami yan sa ating lugar. So those are the indigenous people in Mindanao. So the Moro it is also composed of 13 tribes. Alam na rin natin ito. Ang pinakamalaking tribe, of course, the Maguindanao, the Maranao, and the Tausug. So yun yung the big three. Then sinundan ng Yakan, the Sama, the Badjao, Kalagan, Sangil, Iranon, Palawani, Nilbugnon, Kalibugan, Jama, Mapon. Diba? Familiar tayong lahat. So that's the composition of the Moros. There are 13 tribes. Then the settlers or the Christians, we have the so-called indigenous Christians coming from northern as well as in eastern Mindanao. Ibig sabihin, dito hindi na sila nagmamigrate. They were being Christianized. That's why they are called indigenous Christians. Then we have the settlers, the migrants na pinadala din dito. including my lahi, there are 9 ethno-linguistic groupings from Luzon as well as in the Visayas. An example of this, first kami mga Cebuano, then the Ilocano, the Ilonggo, the Waray, the who else, Pangasinense. Basta there are 9 ethno-linguistic groupings coming from Luzon and the Visayas. So yun yung the Christian or the settlers, known as the settlers. Now here comes the social situation during the Spanish contact. We have the barangay communities, warrior societies, petty plutocracy, the classless communities, the Islamized communities. 1878 AD, Islam came to Sumatra and Java. So isa-isahin natin yan. So the barangay communities, doon sila nagsisittle sa coastal settlement, and it's composed of 30 to 100 families, then kinship bound. So magka-pariente sila. Then we have also the Dato from the Timawa clan. Remember in your social studies before, we have Aliping na mamahay, Aliping sa gigilid. And they came from Malay Peninsula. Then there was a trading centers during those times in the barangay, especially in trading yung barter. Then another letter B, the warrior societies, distinct warrior class, kinship bound, exercise military skills. We have the Pangayaw. Alam natin yung Pangayaw, di ba? Then the Manobo, the Mandaya, the Bagobo, Taga-Kaulo, the Bulaan, the Subanen. So yun yung mga IPs. Kaya nga noon kung sinong mas malakas na grupo, kaya nga yun yung the military exercises. Then the petty plutocracy, the class of the rich men, then like in the Ifugao, the Buntok, Kankanay, Ibalay, there's another indigenous people in the other side, especially in Luzon. Then the classless societies, no class or group distinction. It was written before the contact. Then the authority exerted over other groups. No concept of land ownership. Remember, no concept of land ownership. Then the Negritos are the most numerous, especially in Luzon. Then now here the Islamites. When Islam was introduced, there are missionaries. So kaya nga we have the Islamized society. Most developed communities, central organized life. Then 1280 AD, Islam came to Sulu through Tuan Masyaika. Then we have the Raja Bagindra in 13th century. Then the Sayyid Abu Bakar in 1450. So sila na yung nagdala ng Islam here in our land, particularly nauna doon sa Sulu. Then we have also the Sultanate. In 1450, the Sayyid Abu Bakar. Then there are 32 sultans during that time. Then the Sultanates of Maguindanao. In 1814, we have the Sharif Auliya. That's the Sultan. Then in 1515, Sharif Kabungsuan. That's why Dikir Banda. Then 1619, the Sultan Kudarat Mastura. That's another sultanate. So in the map, yan, we have the Mindanao Sultanate, the Majul, 1618 to 1671. Then another sultanate is Sultanate of Maguindanao, the Silibi in 1900. Then the Sultanate also Mindanao in 1700. Then we have the Sultanate, the Sultan Kudarat in 1645. So, yun in the map. Then, in Mindanao, kaya nga hindi natin masisi kasi before the coming of the Mananakop, we are already a nation. We are a state because we have our own territory, we have our own people, governance, as well as sovereignty. So, yun nga. Kaya nga, you cannot blame us na sinasabi na we are not Filipinos. Diba remember before the Cave, the pub, may mga tao pa rin ganon. Because before, we are a nation. Okay? Nung hindi pa tayo sinakop. Then, the Portuguese and the Spaniards, yung pagdating na nila. Then, in 878, Islamization of Malaysia. Then, in the 12th century, in Sulu. Then, 13th century in Maguindanao. Then, 1509 and 1511, the Portuguese captured Malacca. Then, here in the Philippines, in 1521, that was March, Magellan also came to our land, okay, in the Philippines. Then in 1565, sinundan siya ni Miguel Lopez de Legazpi. I think you still remember in your social studies before, when you were still in high school. Ito yung mga name na lumalabas. So this is the map. So, ang Philippines, nandyan, maliit lang. That's the Southeast Asia map. So, another map. Now, there are stages nung naganap itong tinatawag na Moro Wars. In the first stage, between 1565 to 1578, Legazpi's fleet captured a Bornean vessel off to the coastal of Bohol. So that was the start. Then, the Spanish confrontation against the Sultan of Brunei for the trade supremacy. So, yun yung nag-start talaga noon. Okay? Then, the second wave, from 1578 to 1599, Governor Sandy Andato Buisan, and the permanent colony in Maguindanao. So, may colony na ang Maguindanao. That was the second stage, and attempts to exact tributes from the Datus. Then 1214 Spanish, 214 Spaniards, and 1,500 natives sailed to Maguindanao. Then they landed on Tampakan and La Caldera. So yun yung second stage na yung pagpunta na dito. Kaya yun, that was the second stage of the Moro Wars. Ulitin ko, this is just a reminder or a review. Kung nakalimutan mo, at least na-review tayo. Then, the third stage, it took from 1599 to 1635. Another leader during that time, Dato Buisan and Galietnato. Captives were taken to weaken the inhabitants of the Spanish-held territories. So, yun. Hinahinay na yun napunta dito mananakot. But during that time, according to our history teacher before, parang Tom and Jerry itong pagdating ng mga Spaniards. Away, bati, away, bati, away, bati. Okay? Then the fourth stage, from 1635 to 1663, Corcuera and Kudarat. Ito naman yung mga tao during those times na nag-lead. Then this began with the Spanish fortification in Zamboanga. Kaya nga, if you notice, yung mga taga Zamboanga, may mga barok sila na magsalita na Espanyol. Okay? Alegre kita ake, alegre kita alya, mas ken donde, alegre kita. Buenos dias. Alam natin yan kasi also in Cotabato, marami ding napunta dito na in which they speak Baroque na Spanish because of that colonization. Then the Spaniard reached as far as Taviran and Kabuntalan in Cotabato and in Lanao in Marawi. Kaya nga may mga landmarks tayo in the stages, in this four stages na napunta talaga dito ng Spaniards. Sa parang may landmark yan doon sa Malabang, sa papunta doon, basta Marawi, may mga landmarks yan na naiwan, mga remnants sa kanilang mga kampo ng mga Spanish. Pero uulitin ko, ayon sa my history teacher before, parang Tom and Jerry yan. Away, bati sila. So yun yung the fourth stage. Then the fifth, from 1718 to 1851, the return with the Spaniards to Zamboanga. Okay? 1718 to 1851. So matagal-tagal. Then, Asimuddin and Amiruddin Hamzah, yun yung mga leader during that time, that the sultans became friendly with the Spaniards. Ito na yun sa 5th stage. Mas lalo silang tumanjere talaga. Bati, away, away, bati, away, bati. So that's the point there. Then in the 6th stage, 1851 to 1898, the Spanish campaigns against Sulu. So yun na. So mas naglala. Then in 1878, the treaty between Jamal ul-Azam and the Colonel Carlos Martinez recognizing Sulu as Spanish protectorate. So yun ang punto na yun. So parang lumala na, especially in Sulu. Now, the transition period. Yung after that way, itong transition period. In 1844, there was a census of the land. But remember, in the previous, sabi natin, wala siyang sense of ownership yung mga tao dito, the Moro, as well as yung indigenous Christian. Okay? Then there was a census of the land. Then in 1898, may Treaty of Paris, may kasunduan na sila. At dito na nangyari in this transition period na ang Mindanao, binenta ng ating mga leaders din na 20 million Mexican dollars. And I think familiar with that if you still remember in your history, in your social studies in high school. So kaya nga, bakit napasakamay na tayo? Kasi binenta with a 20 million Mexican dollars. So that was the transition period. Now, after that, kasi binenta, dumating ang mga Amerikano. From the Spanish to the American. So, medyo malupit yung sa Spanish. Sa American naman, titingnan natin. So, there was a leveling. So, ito na ngayon. In 1902, Census and Guidelines of Land Titling. So, nagkaroon na ng mga census din yan, guidelines na titituluhan ang mga lupa, ang mga lupain dito. Then, in 1903, naging Moro Province tong ating lugar. In 1916, there's a Bureau of Non-Christian Tribes. Kasi ito may nag-start na hinay-hinay, parang na-open na. Kasi sinasabi nga, Mindanao daw is a promised land because fertile yung land. Okay? Then in 1920, resettlements program. So, yun na yung nangyayari. Nag-resettle in which all are invited, yung mga migrants, including may ninuno, na napunta na dito. Then, remember 1946? Kasi sinakupan ng Pilipinas, nagiging independence tayo. Okay? And I think that was June 1946. June 12, is you still remember, that's our Independence Day since 1946. Then in 1951, Moro Province transformed into a special province. So Moro Province tawag sa atin. Then in 1555, there was a special province became a regular province na tayo. Then between 1970s to 80s, the regular province divided into several provinces. So, naghati-hati na ang Mindanao. Then, in 1973, non-Christian tribes became cultural minorities. Ulitin natin na, the non-Christian tribe became the cultural minorities. Nagiging minorities kasi dumadami na pinapadala dito. Now, in 1987, indigenous cultural communities na. Then, it was implemented after the talk in 1989, if you still remember, nagkaroon tayo ng ARM, the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. Okay, I think naalala ninyo. Now, we move on. The question of the land, di ba? Doon na ng the guidelines sa land titling. You have the Regalian Doctrine. This Regalian Doctrine, dapat all land is owned by the government. Then the sultans and the datos were devastated of their powers. And why? Because of this Regalian Doctrine. Okay? Then, itong resettlement program na, beginning in 1912, intensified during the Commonwealth government, especially in the 1920s. Sino yung kampaan dito? Presidente sa Pilipinas, magsaysay? If I am right. Okay? Then, the first wave of the resettlement, ito. In 1913, pinadala, I think coming from Cebu, pinala doon sa Pikit, particularly in Silik, Hinatilan, Paidupulangi, Pagalungan, Anglan, Tanglan, Disin Sarangani. Doon pinapadala yung mga settlers. So ulitin ko ha, because inopen naman, because this is the promised land, so dito pinadala. Napunta dito, first wave, ang mga Kristiyano. Okay? The Christian settlers. That's starting 1914. That was also the first wave of the resettlement program. Marami nagpunta. Okay? Then the second wave, 1990 to 1926, pinadala doon sa Baloi, Lanao del Norte. To Lamitan, Masilan, remember Lamitan ngayon, daming mga Isabela City, daming mga Kristiyano din, kasi doon pinadala sila. In Tawi-Tawi as well as in Sulu. Then, when I went also to Tawi-Tawi and Sulu, I was thinking na ang Tawi-Tawi, kasi wala pa akong masyadong knowledge, all are Islamic believers. Then when I arrived yung Notre Dame doon, sabi ko, uy, kita ko may simbahan din pala kami dito. And why? Because of this resettlement program, may pinapunta din doon. Then in Marilog, in Bukidnon, sa Lunayan, then North Cotabato, Maganoy, as well as in Cotabato. That's in the second wave. Maganoy, di ba? May mga Christian din until today. Kasi doon pinadala. Of course, North Cotabato. Napansin nyo sa North Cotabato, because of this wave, halimbawa, from Luzon, doon kayo sa Kabakan, di ba? Majority are Ilocano. From doon naman sa Visayas, mga Ilonggo. Dito naman banda sa Alyusan. Dan sa Midsayap, Libungan, Cebuano naman karamihan. Dan Pigkawayan, majority are Ilonggo. Kita mo yung mga wave na yon pinadala sa North Cotabato. That's in the second wave. Then sa third wave, in 1939, doon na pinadala sa Lagaw, sa Tupi, Marbel, Plumulok, or the Coronadal Valley, Banga, Norala, Surala, pero karamihan pinapadala doon mga Ilonggo. Kaya kadamuan man doon in the third wave, puro mga Ilonggo. Okay? So this is history by wave yan siya. Kaya nga, yung sana hindi tayo magkamali kasi may mga nagsasabi din na nauna daw pinaladala doon ang tawag nito, yung mga settlers doon sa Tupi, Lagaw, doon sa General Santos, saka sa Marbel. But hindi totoo yan. Sa third wave na doon pinadala ang mga settlers. Ala Valley, ganun din. Karamihan doon. Diba? Napansin nyo, punta ka mo dito, kadamuhan dito mga tao. Damo gid, duro ka mga Ilonggo. Okay? So you can attest to that. That's in the third wave. Fourth wave, pero by the way, sa third wave na napunta pala yung mga ninuno ko. Then sa fourth wave, 1954, karamihan naman din dito, mga Ilonggo din, pinadala sa Kurong, may mga Ilocano din, Isulan, Bagumbayan, halo-halo na. Then to Buluan, remember Buluan? Then Sultan sa Barungis, Anang Patuan. I think in Mama Sapano, according to my teacher before, the Mama Sapano, that's also one of the resettlement area. Ang dami-dami mga Kristiyano dyan. Okay? I think ngayon ang Ampatuan ang dami pa rin because when I was assigned there as missionary, may chapel pa rin kami dito sa Ampatuan. Okay, may mga simbahan kami dyan. Kasi yun nga, nandoon because of this resettlement place and program na pinadala. Now, in 1921, there are 52 Morodatos addressed a petition to the President of the United States requesting that should independence be granted to the northern provinces of the Philippines. It is the desire of the people of Sulu that Sulu Archipelago be made permanent American territory in the United States of America. So yun yung petition of the 52 Morodatus. So that was a petition, remember, kaya nga may isang nagraran din dito ng presidente, a Muslim, sabi, gawin na kaming, we are Americans because of this pag-iisip na ganito. Then, this was a curious petition because while there was expressed a resistance of becoming assimilated with the Philippines, there was at that time an even more than it manifests the desire to become integrated into the United States of America. A similar petition was also sent to President Roosevelt in 1935 by 120 Maranao Datos of Lanao na gusto talagang tayong gawing part of the United States. Then, like those in Sulu, this expressly sought to remain under the tutelage of American government if and when this would grant the independence to the Philippines. Kasi ang punto dito, sabi nga, ayaw na namin magpasakop sa Philippines because we are a nation, we are a state. We have people, we have sovereignty, we have the government here in Mindanao. So, and that's the reality. That's why gusto na, isakupin na kayo. Sakupin na kami. Kaya nga may mga petition sa Amerika. So, kung nagkataon siguro, baka American citizen tayo. Kung ito. Okay. Then in 1924, ang sulat ng ilang leader ng mga Moro sa Kongreso doon sa Estados Unidos. Permado kina Sultan Mangigen ng Maguindanao, Haji Panglima Nonyo, Dato Sakularan, Maharaja Habing Abdullah Piang, Dato Benito Lanao, na nagrepresenta raw sa mga kalahating milyong Moro ng Mindanao, Sulu at Palawan. So yan, may sulat naman sila din. Nagmungkahi ang 50 na taon na pagkatapos na mabigyan ng independensya ang ibang bahagi ng kapuluan ng Pilipinas na magkaroon ng isang plebisito sa proposed and organized territory ng Moro upang pagpasyahan kung isasani ba o hindi ang teritoryong nabanggit sa kapuluan ng Luzon at Kabisayaan, manatiling isang teritoryo at maging malaya. So yun yung sulat na nilalaman sa sulat doon sa Kongreso ng Estados Unidos. So remember na Estados Unidos period ito, American period ito. Kasi beninda tayo ng 20 Mexican dollars. Kaya doon, punta tayo sa mga kamay ng Amerikano. Now, in 1935, ang sulat ni Haji Bagubong Kali sa Unayan at 119 Dato Haji Imam Kali ng Lanao sa presidente ng Estados Unidos. So another naman ito. So anong nilalaman? Nais manatili sa paggabay at proteksyon ng gobyerno ng Amerika, yung ating lugar. Ang una, sapagkat kami ay mahina at walang kakayahan upang ipagtanggol ang aming karapatan bilang malayang bansa. So once again noon isang bansa na tayo because we have our people, we have the territory, we have sovereignty. Okay, and we have our own government in Mindanao. Okay? Then pangalawa, sapagkat kami isang maliit na bansa, di tulad ng ibang malalaking bansa, di tama na ang isang mahina at naghihikahos na bansa ay maging malaya sa kalinga ng isang mabait at makapangyarihang bansa. Yun yung pangalawang rason bakit sumulat sila sa presidente ng Estados Unidos. Ang pangatlong rason, di namin nais na mapabilang sa malayang Pilipinas. Oras na maging malaya ang Pilipinas, magkaroon ng gulo sa pagitan namin at ang Kristiyanong Filipino sapagkat sa mulat mula ng dalawang grupong ito ay dati ng di magkakasundo. Ano ay? Kasi yung pinapunta sa gera-gera noon, sabi nga Tom and Jerry, ang dala-dala naman ng mga Spaniards dito sa atin, di ba? Ang mga Pinoy naman galing doon sa Luzon. Kaya nga, sabi nga, sumulat sila para walang gulo, ayaw namin kasi mas lalong hindi kami magkakasundo. So yun yung nilalaman ng sulat ni Haji Bagubong Kali sa Unayan and the 19 datos si Haji Imam sa Kali from Lanao doon sa presidente ng Estados Unidos. Now, dito na naglabo-labo. In 1968, very familiar tayong lahat dyan. And it was commemorated last March 18. Ilang years na? 57th year na. Itong Jabida Massacre. I think familiar. Kasi ito na yung umpisa talaga. Kasi yung mga sulat-sulat sa United States, hindi naman nag-grant. So, ito na ngayon, 1960, the Jabira Massacre. And this was the start kung saan gustong ibalik ng mga Moro people yung self-governance, self-determination. Na nagkaroon ng Mission Merdeka. Merdeka, I think this is freedom. Okay? Na, remember with this, there are, I think, 150 young men tinitrain doon sa Luzon, sa Corregidor. Para, kaya nga, the Mission Merdeka, yung Sabah, kunin. And this was during the time of Marcos, if you still remember. And ililid ito ni Major Abdul Latif Martilino. I think Major Latif Martilino nakaasawa ng isang princess doon sa Sulu. So siya ngayong maglilid. But what happened with the Jabida Massacre, alam na natin yon. I attended the commemoration last March 18. Ako pa yung naglilid ng prayer na masakit ang nangyari. Kasi pinatay lahat yung tinitrain. Guys, kung sa Cebuano pa na ay nagbudhi. And I think, if you still remember, sino yung nagiging traidor, ang tatay ng dati nating presidente. Si Ninoy ang Aquino. Okay? So, yon. So, that was the start na mas lalong nagkagulo in 1968. Okay, kasi out of 150 na tinitrain, there was a lone survivor. Okay, from that corregidor doon sa Luzon, na nakasurvive siya, nagpatay-patayan siya, sumakay siya ng bangka hanggang nabuhay siya. I think bago lang namatay few years ago. Okay? Now, in 1961, Congressman Ombra Amil Bangsa nag-file ng bill sa House of Representatives na bigyan at kilalanin ang kalayaan ng probinsya ng Sulu. Okay, before, ano ay, kisagi may sulat na gawin kaming bahagi ng Amerika. So, in 1961, sumulat naman itong congressman. Nag-file ng bill. Pero hindi rin natuloy. Kaya nga kilalanin na province of Sulu. Then, in 1968, the Muslim Independence Movement, MIM, so grupo naman ito, nais na magtayo ng Islamic State sa mga lugar ng tirahan ng mga Muslim tulad ng Cotabato, Davao, Zamboanga City, Basilan, Lanao, Sulu, and Palawan. So, the MIM movement na. So, anyway, ulitin mo, umpisa ito with this Jabida Massacre. In 1971, now, ito na yung the Mindanao Crisis. Labanan ng sibilyang Moro at Kristiyano. Paano ito nangyari? Kasi nga, punta dito karamihan sa mga sundalo, Kristiyano man. Okay? Then, labanan din ng politika. Then, tinampukan ng maraming massacre tulad ng Manili sa Cotabato doon sa Carmen na massacre at saka Uswagan sa Lanao del Norte. So, from Jabida Massacre, naumpisahan naman, nasunda naman ito in 1971. Kaya nga, mas lalong nagkagulo. Then, in 1972, so ito na yon from MIM, yung movement na yun, so sinunda naman ng ibang movement. The MNLF. In 1972, ang Moro National Revolution Front, the MNLF, armadong pakikibaka magtatatag ng Bangsamoro Republic sa Bangsamoro Homeland o sa Mindanao, Sulu at Palawan. Ibandilang pangalawang Bangsamoro. So yan. And it was headed by, alam natin, si Maas, si Norme Suare. Norme Suare is the professor of UP. And yung nag-alsa na, siya nag-head ng Moro National Liberation Front. Alam natin lahat yun. Then in 1984, there was may formal na itinatag din ang Moro Islamic Liberation Front. Why? Nag-split sila. Kaya nagtayo naman ng MILF. Balak din na magtatag ng isang malayang estado na Islamic, yung Islamic State. So ito yung pinakauna talagang binabalak ng ating mga kapatid na MILF. Then in 1997 to 2003, ito na ngayon, gera, MILF versus the Armed Forces of the Philippines. So, mas laglala. Okay? And I think ipinanganak mo tayo during this time. At means naranasan ako, nung pinanganak na ako, naranasan ko na yan dito sa atin. Especially mga gera-gera. Now, sa kasiraan at gastos ng gera, tingnan natin. In 1971, mahigit na 1,000 katao namatay. That's life. Then in 1972-76, the MILF versus the EFP, 100 to 120,000 na matay din. 50% sa MNLF, 30% sa EFP, 20% civilian. Then 73 billion pesos ang nagastos itong gera na ito. Then gera between MNLF to the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Then, ang gera naman, especially to the MILF naman. Sinong nag-hit? Si Hashim Salamat, di ba, sa MILF? Then, sinundan na ng mga leader. Kaya nga ngayon, meron tayong agreement na si Kagi Murad, then ngayon pinalitan ni Makakuwa, the head of the MILF. But before, ito nangyari. Ang mga kasiraan at gastos. In 1997, there were 30,000 evacuees. In 2000, 1,014,650 evacuees. In 2001, Nagera, 24 evacuees. In 2003, there are also 75,419 na mga evacuees. So kawawa, mga civilian with this nasisira at saka gastos, kabuhayan na, etc. Then, may mga seventh resistance sa nangyayari sa Mindanao na nagre-resist. Una, ito, remember this, yung nagsulat, 1961, then the Islamic movement, then itong mga Ilaga, remember the Ilaga? Karamihan member dito mga Ilonggo, laban sa mga black shirts. Naalala ninyo? Okay. Sinasabi yan. Then, in 1972, yung pag-alsa naman ng MNLF. Then, in 1976, Tripoli Agreement. Then, in 1981, yung umusbong na din yung resistance yung MILF. Then, itong 1996, GRP-MILF Peace Accord. Ito na yung the final peace agreement. Kaya nga, hanggang ngayon, although we have the BARM, pero meron pa rin iilan na hindi talaga papayag kasi may karoon ng final peace agreement in 1996. Pero well, at least medyo na-resolve na, kahit na yung iba medyo ayaw pa. Pero now, the ongoing GRP MILF peace negotiation. So we are on the peace, still on the peace process, peace negotiation na kahit na mayroon tayong ball. We have now our own government, the parliamentary government, form of the government. We have the BARM under the leadership of the MILF. Gets? Now, What about the Lumans or the indigenous people? Anong nangyari naman sa kanila? Di ba? Itong 1997 Republic Act 1831, ano yan siya? The IPRA? IPRA ba? In 1997. Meron sila pero hanggang sa batas lang yan. Yung IPRA law. Okay? Now, what about the implications to national history? The Filipinos of today are not the same as the Filipinos of 1898. Take note, it's not the same of the Filipinos of 1998. In those days, the Filipinos, the colonized segment of the population which feel that the need to liberate themselves from the clutches of the Spanish colonizers did so, as in the process produce the Filipino identity, Filipino nation, and the Filipino Republic. But there are other segments of the population which we cannot so identify by the lack of historical basis. The Sulu Sultanate and the Maguindanao Sultanate fought Spanish colonization as a state. So yun yung sinabi natin in the previous slide. We are a state, we are a nation. We have our own people, we have our government, we have the sovereignty. So kaya nga, yun yung kasing mga factors kung ikaw ay tawagin na isang state o isang nation. So, yun ha, iba na, sabi nga, since 1898. Then the Moros are extremely proud of this. The Lumads, who avoided contact with the Spaniards and were therefore not colonized, could either be identified as Filipinos because they were not part of that process that brought about the Filipino nation. The American segment of our colonial experience changed all this. They decided that we share the same territory and all be Filipinos. So, kasali ng Lumad. That is why only one independence was restored in 1946. So, all the petitions sa United States hindi nag-grant. Kaya nga yun, lahat isa lang independence natin. That was June 12, 1946. The Lumads and the Moros were not particularly happy about this. And why? Kaya nga, nagre-resist man din sa ayaw namin because we are a state. We are a nation. Okay? I think malinaw yan. Now, we have a problem to solve. We have a shared territory, but we have conflicting views about it. Whether we like it or not. Until today. That's why people from Luzon, they cannot blame us. Bias sila sa atin at mas bias din tayo sa kanila. Remember yung sinabi ng analyst na we are a sub-Saharan African level? So nagre-react tayo. Ano, hindi tayo ganun. Mayaman tayo. Okay? Kaya nga, persona non grata na yata yung si Hyberian, si Richard. Kaya pataka lang daldal. Pero nag-apologize naman siya. Pero sabi ko nga, isa din ako sa nagbas doon na damage sa Sbingdan. Because I am a Mindanaon. I am a Bangsamoro. Kasi dito naman, I can ascribe as a Moro. I am a Moro. But Christian ako. Okay? So, malinaw yan sa ating lahat. Then, there are causes of conflict. So, ano-ano yan? This is now in the present situation. Massive poverty and economic inequality. That's very, very true. Until today, kahit na may barm tayo, kaya nga, open your mind, open your hearts, open your eyes. You look at the rural areas, until today, wala pa rin. Poor governance. Sinusulong dito sa atin ngayon, with the leadership of Kagi Murad, moral governance. Maganda ang hangarin ng ating dating Prime Minister. Pero ang problema, sa baba. Kaya nga, kahit pagbuksan nating mata o ipikin nating mata, may problema talaga. Itong moral governance. Kaya nga, one of the causes noon, poor governance. Until today, I think. Then, injustices or injustice and abuse of power, nandyan pa rin. Not only in the Philippines now, of course, sa atin ngayon, with this issue now, pagdakip ng idol ninyo, na dinala sa ICC, That's an abuse daw of power. Sinisisi lahat sa ating nakaupong presidente. Okay? Kaya wala daw utang na loob. But well, that's politics. Then, control by the few political power. Alam natin yan. That's also a problem today. Kaya nga ayaw nila na bagay ang konstitusyon, especially itong political dynasty. Lahat, especially, di ba? Kung ako, magraran ako sa mga lugar, sa vicinity dito sa city, ako mananalo. O paring, hindi ako kadugo. Outcast ako sa kasi because of this. Controlled by the few political power. Then, exploitation of indigenous communities. I think you will agree with this. Kawawa ang ating mga IPs. Mga lupain nila, nawawala din. Pero kung tutuusin, history would also tell us that we are all IPs. Di ba kayo, Damoro? You can trace your ancestor. Si Dato Tabunaway, si Dato, sino ba? Mamalo, di ba? Magkapatid. Kaya nga, blood brothers, the Muslims, as well as the IPs. Take it or leave it, kasi that's history. Okay? Ako ay Cebuano, mga ninuno ko from Cebu, but I'm also an IP. Kasi before the coming of Christian missionaries, Islamic missionaries, may mga tao na dito. The Aborigine. Okay? So kung magre-react kayo dyan, that's your problem. Basta, we are all IPs, especially the Moro. Okay, we have the blood brothers, Dato Tabunaway, Dato Mamalo, magkapatid, and they are Tiduray. Okay? Hello? Sige, I think naintindihan niyo ako. Then the differences in the political beliefs and ideologies. Meron din. This is also one cause of this causes of conflict. Ulitin ko, differences of political beliefs as well as ideologies. Then the current trends in the peace process, which is related to our topic. Kaya that's why we started in the Mindanao history. Then the first assertion, the peace process, the failed solutions to the problems of the minority groups in Mindanao, as well as the lack or absence of the common Mindanao identity, have spawned more conflict at the different levels and intensities. So yung mga assertion natin. Then the survey of the current Mindanao conflicts, the Moro separatism, yung nangyari din, the Moro, the MILF, and the government of the Republic of the Philippines, as well as the Moro Islamic Liberation one versus the government of the Republic of the Philippines. So yung mga conflict. Although ngayon, that conflict medyo na-resolve na because of the FAB, the CAV, and as well as the bond. Okay, we have the burn. Kaya nga, natatamasa na natin yung ating inaasam-asam na kapayapaan. But not absolute, not total pa rin, nandyan pa rin. Kaya nga, we are on the period of the peace process. Ito nga yung sinabi natin kanina. In 1996, it was the final peace agreement with the MNLF. Gains and deficits, yes, the tripartite meetings, Ms. Suare and Malik, they question this one, and the OIC factor. That's on the side of the MNLF. Then unsettled Mindanaoan identity. The quest for the common identity that can promote social cohesion remains elusive. Okay, remains elusive. There have been attempts to harness the identity, the tri-people concept, one people, Mindanao, Bangsamoro, etc. But the assertion of the individual identities is strongly persisting. So, unsettled pa rin yung ating Mindanaoan identity. In 1996, yung sabi natin, the final peace agreement, there was an integration of the 7,500 MILF to the regulars of the PNP and AFP. Pero sabi nga, hindi pa yun sapat. Okay? Then the extensive peace and development efforts in the Mindanao and the others. Pero ulitin ko, nandyan pa rin yun na yung iba ayaw pa rin magsabi pa rin na may final peace agreement. Bakit ito? Kaya nga humiwalay ngayon ang sulo. That's the problem now. Okay? Pero sabi ng BARM, hindi natin bibitawan sila. Tutulungan pa rin natin. That's also one good thing. Okay. Now, we have the framework agreement for the new Bangsamoro political entity. So, it started from this FAB. Alam niyo yung FAB. Framework Agreement of the Bangsamoro. To have a new political entity. And why? Say, mabi nga ni Pinoy that the ARM is a failed experiment. Ngayon, we have the BARM. Sana hindi rin mag-failed experiment. So, that's the point there. So, ituloy natin. Tayong lahat, laban natin itong lahat bilang mga Bangsamoro. Na sana tuloy-tuloy na ito. Na yung naranasan natin noon, yung mga kasing edad ko, hindi na mararanasan nating mga anak saka mga kaapu-apuhan ang mayroon ng kapayapaan. Kaya nga itong peace process, tuloy-tuloy yan. Then, we are Mindanaoans forever. The tri people, we are Mindanaoans. Kasi yung mga petisyon na wala na. We have one independence, we have one country. Although we have autonomous tayo, but may autonomous naman doon sa Cordillera, di ba? Autonomous din sila, but we still belong to one Philippines, to one country. So with that, daghang salamat, maraming salamat sa inyong pakikinig. Sana may natutunan tayo as a review of this Mindanao history. Hindi man ito lahat na nabanggit, pero at least ito yung pinaka-main na the dates and the people there. Kung may pagkukulang man, well, ito lamang din na take note ko when I took up my history in Mindanao. But well, madadagdagan pa din natin ito while we continue on the peace process. And from your reading and from your experience, majority sa atin, kayo mga doctors naman din kayo, so kayo na magpapalawak sa inyong reading, especially Mindanao history. So, God bless everyone. Daghang salamat, dalaygon ang Diyos.